Romans 6 talks about dead to sin, but we have to be alive in union with Christ. Romans 6:12 onwards. Sin must no longer rule in your mortal bodies, so that you obey the desires of your natural self. Nor must you surrender any part of yourselves to sin to be used for wicked purposes. Instead, give yourselves to God as those who have been brought from death to life, and surrender your whole being to Him to be used for righteous purposes. Sin must not be your master, for you do not live under law but under God's grace. Yes, friends, please subscribe this channel. In this new year 2023, let us remind ourselves that we have to be dead to sin, but we have to be alive in unison with Jesus Christ. Yes, Romans 6:12 onwards talks that sin must no longer rule in our bodies, and we must not run after the desires of our natural self. Yes, we must surrender any part of ourselves, not for wicked purposes, not to sinful desires, not to run after the wrong way, but instead give ourselves to God as those who have been brought from death to life. Yes, Jesus has purchased us by redeeming us through shedding His own blood on the cross of Calvary. We have to surrender our whole being to Him to be used. Our bodies should be used for righteous purposes, and God will lead us mightily when we surrender our life to Him. He will teach us which way to take. He will not allow us to take the narrow road that leads to sin. He will not allow us to, sorry, He will not allow us to take the wrong way, to take the wide road that leads to sin in our life, but the narrow road that leads us to a righteous life and victory in our life. So we have to surrender our whole being to Jesus to be used for righteous purposes. Sin must not be your master, for you do not live under law but under God's grace. We live under the total grace of God. Grace of God flows in us, and that is the reason sin is not our master. We do not bow down to sin. We are not in the side of sinful life. We are not under the law, but we are under the grace that God bestows upon us. The love of God is His grace upon our lives. God's grace is great for us. His mercy and compassion, and He has great pity on our life, on what we are suffering today, what we are going through today. And He wants us to be aware and alert and watchful all the time. Fight against all sinful matters, all the people who lead us to sin. Stay away from our sinful thoughts and sinful activities, and surrender our life in complete love, and surrender our life to God's grace and mercy. God bless you all. Happy New Year.